let's jump right in. I am so excited to share with you guys this box that Oak Meadow has sent to me. They gifted me this box of materials in exchange for giving you, my honest opinion. And I'm excited because, sorry, I'm having trouble with these scissors. This is going to be basically the backbone of our high school English. So let's jump right in. So the first thing that's in this box, if you've never ordered from Oak Meadow before, they are a secular homeschool company based out of Vermont. They've been around, I think, since the 70s. They're one of the really big companies in the homeschooling realm. They send you this little overview of the course. And so this is one of them, American Literature Social Transformation, American Literature The Westward Journey, American Literature Classics, this is the second edition, and then Latin American Literature Borders and Identity, and it's got information about the company. And anyway, so I forgot that comes in there, but that's so cool. And then you can check your materials against that. So we're just going to go ahead and start looking at the books. We've got My Antonia, which I forgot this was included. This was actually suggested in another thing I'm working on. River of Shadows. I'll show you the back of these books. So this is this book. I think this is the Westward Expansion, from Westward Expansion. Then River of Shadows. And after we go through the books, I'll show you the inside of the materials. So I think this is also from the Westward Expansion. Then House on Mango Street. This is a very well regarded, what's the word? I can't think of the word. Very well assigned, great book. I read this in college. I actually found a PowerPoint presentation I did on it, which I thought was funny because I made like 2 PowerPoints in college. Tell Me How It Ends, an essay and 40 questions. I think this is from the Borders and Identity. And feel free to pause on any of these if you want to read the back information. Citizen. Girl in Translation. Great American Short Stories. This is for the classics. And this actually has Stephen King in it, which I thought was interesting because my other daughter was a big fan. So to see that it's assigned in the classics, I thought was cool. And there's a lot of books in here because we are going through 4 levels of, this is from Westward Expansion, 4 levels of high school English. And once we get through that, I'll tell you guys kind of what I'm planning. Sacagawea by Joseph Bruchac. This is one of the most assigned in homeschooling circles, at least. I believe he's a Native American author, or at least half Native American. He writes a lot of books for this age group. This is also for Westward Expansion. Then we have Passing. I believe there's a Netflix, Netflix show. I'm really excited about this one. This will be for our 12th grade plans. City of Beast by Isabel Allende. And this is, I think, the Latin American literature. Then classic, Grapes of Wrath, Steinbeck. This is about the Dust Bowl, the Great Depression, if you're not familiar with that one. And Steinbeck, I think, is from California. Great Gatsby, This is set in the 1920s. This was one of the most compelling books to me that I saw. I was like, my children need to read this. And I think this is based on a true story. It's either like nonfiction or based on a true story. I don't remember. The other side. This is, I think, Borders and Identity, Latin American Literature, or Social Transformations, one of those two. I feel like living in California, you really need to study these different perspectives, because it's a big, component of our state is the back and forth between where the border is placed and where it's enforced over hundreds of years, and who was here initially, things like that. And this is written in verse. Oh, one thing I wanted to say, which this reminds me, is I was talking with Arlene about this book. I wanted to give her a shout out because she put me in touch with the good people at Oak Meadow that made this whole amazing package possible. So thank you to Arlene, and also thank you not only for introducing me to the folks at Oak Meadow, but also for discussing these books with me, because as we know, as home educators, our knowledge base is only going to include so many books, right? We're only one person. So it's really great to have someone who has similar pedagogy and goals and like things that they want for their students, to be able to talk with them about different books. Oh, so this is actually, I think, what has Stephen King in it, Oxford Book of American Short Stories. And this is a very substantial book. So I'm making this into, is this a table of contents? Oh, that's acknowledgements. Here's table of contents. I'm making this into an honors course. And I feel like you can see just from the size of this book alone how that is justified, because this is really a substantial book. Oh, see Stephen King. And Ray Bradbury. Very exciting. So that is exciting. So that is all of the books for these 4 levels. And now we will look at the curriculum. I'm so excited. We're just going to go in order of what's in here. So let me show you, I'll just show you the student editions, because the teacher editions have the same format, but then they have like notes inside for the teacher. So I'm going to show you the table of contents in the first lesson from each of these. So the Westward Journey, this is one of the new high school levels that was released, and this came out in May of 2020. And so I'll show you the books that are included as we go, and kind of we'll look at like what it's covering. So this is I believe, semester long course. Yeah, this is a semester long course. So we've got the introduction, then Unit 1 is called Discovery. So we're doing My First Summer in the Sierra by John Muir, and River of Shadows, Edward Muybridge and the Technological Wild West. So this book is about, I read the blurb about it earlier, it's about how I think the invention of the camera contributed to the creation of Hollywood and the Silicon Valley, like the technological situation. Oh, here it says this is copyright 2022. So this must be the updated version. So that's kind of what you've got is like this, as this first unit. Then the second unit is called Homeland. So we've got My Antonia, and here are the, like individual week-long units. And then the Unit 3 is Belonging. So that's when we're reading Sacagawea and American Indian Stories, Legends, and Other Writings. I love that. I love that it's incorporated in here. You don't need to really add anything to this class. You can just do it exactly as it's written, which is one of the things I love about Oak Meadow is how they integrate. I think I've talked about this before. In addition to having this great literature and giving like different writing assignments, and when it's in the younger years, it's really integrated in terms of social studies and English together. I really like how they incorporate poetry and short stories and other reading excerpts into these lessons. so that it's really a comprehensive full curriculum. And then to culminate the end of this, you've got a project, final project, course reflection. And so this is all the introduction. Here are the books that are included, what to expect, and then you've got Unit 1. Reflective essay. That's, like I said, the writing component of Oak Meadow is one of my favorite things about their English. And then you have your assignments. I think you usually get to pick. It tells you what to read. And that is lesson 1. So that is the American Literature, the Westward Journey. And let's just pull those books real quick so you can see. Where was that list? Okay, my first summer in the Sierras. Got this book, my first summer in the Sierras. And River of Shadows. And my Antonia. So these are the books that are included for the Westward Journey. All right, next we have American Literature Social Transformations. So when I first started looking at this, my thought was that I was going to combine a couple of different levels for a couple of my kids. Like one student would be doing these two, another student would be doing those two. But the more that I looked at, like most of these I think are 11th grade and up. They're not for younger grades. The more I realized that wouldn't really work for my 9th grader. And I feel like one of the levels, which I'll show you in a second, is really like a comprehensive full year. So it would be challenging to integrate one of these semester length courses. So then I decided that what we will do is just combine the 3 semester length courses together for my student who will be in 11th grade, who really is a prolific reader and writer. And I think that that will work nicely. And I will, of course, be sharing with you guys how I plan on doing that as I get that planned out. So the way that this is broken down, this level was released in January of 2023, so it's not even, barely 2 years old. It's organized by concept like the other level, but you can see the first one is African American Literature and Liberation. The second one is Immigration and the American Dream. And then we have Unit 3, Environmental Literature, so that's the Oak Flat. And then we've got the final project. So very similar structure to the other semester length course. Here's the introduction to everything. And then Unit 1, which has an overview here. And you'll be reading A Letter to My Nephew by James Baldwin in your reader's journal. There's a bunch of questions to answer. So here you can see that the curriculum links for these different reading assignments will be found on their website. And again, this is one of the things that I think Oak Meadow really shines at, is integrating, like for example, if you look at the civics curriculum, they're incorporating Supreme Court cases and things like that. So I think we skipped a page. Oh yeah, so here's the reader's journal. So write a list of questions about America that James Baldwin addresses in his letter to his nephew. What questions might his nephew have asked that prompted this letter? That's some critical thinking right there. And then write a list of your own questions about contemporary America that you personally want to learn more about. And then, so that's like your reader's journal, right? That's kind of like notebooking a little bit, but it's guided. And then you have writing assignments. So he wrote an open letter, organize your response in 1 or 2 paragraphs, citing specific passages from the text. So this is really great teaching for a certain type of writing where the student has to use examples. And also this is tested on any sort of standardized test your student's going to be doing, whether it's SAT or you have the CLT or you're doing AP tests. They're going to ask you to cite to evidence. So that's a really great preparation as well. Then here you've got a learning assessment rubric for this writing assignment. And then we have another assignment here which involves more of the same sorts of skills. So that is the social transformations. And if you haven't been seeing my other videos I've been coming out with, I am going to be having this student doing AP African American Studies. So that was another reason I felt like this would just go perfectly hand in hand with what we're doing in English. Okay, then we have Latin American literature, borders and identity. So this is the third level that will be combined with the other two I just showed you. So this is also another new offering from Oak Meadow. This came out in January of 2024, so this is barely a year old. And let's go, actually before we do that, let's look at the book list from Social Transformations. So Citizen and American Lyric. I think that the reading I was showing you from James Baldwin is actually from this, but there is a link that's probably to some related topic. Girl in Translation. And so you can see this is a contemporary collection of poetry and essays about the experience of racism in the 21st century, this book. Then Girl in Translation, this one. A novel about a young girl's experience immigrating to the United States from China in the 1980s. Tell Me How It Ends. An essay about child migrants from Latin America in the 21st century. And then Oak Flat. This is a fight for the, what does it say? Creatively illustrated and researched account of Native American efforts to save sacred land from mining. And then you also have a writing journal. So those are the books included in Social Transformations. All right, now we will turn to Latin American literature, borders and identity. This is also a semester-length course. Let's grab this info. So it says it's for 11th and 12th grade intended, but that's, your you can use your own judgment in deciding for your kids if you want to use it for younger, or I guess you wouldn't do older because 12th grade, but anyways. Okay, so Unit 1, what are borders? Unit 2, exploring the self, identity. Unit 3, exploring self and other, crossing borders. And then Unit 4, exploring self and world, perspectives and storytelling. And so here we have every unit has a project you can see. And then there's also a final project. So here's the introduction and the course themes. Let's grab the course materials for this one while we are here. So we have the poet X, very famous author in this space, The City of Beasts, The House on Mango Street, and The Other Side. Okay, let's read about these. Oh, it doesn't have the discussion of those books here. Okay, those are those books for this one. Then let's look at lesson 1. Here's again the overview, things to keep in mind, what to expect. This tells you like the types of assignments and things that the student will be doing for the course. And then we start Unit 1. And lesson 1. So here in every Oak Meadow student book, there is an assignment checklist. This gives the student an overview of what to expect and what they're going to be doing. I've found this very helpful. It's one of the reasons I really like Oak Meadow, especially for independent learners, is there's no question of what you're supposed to do. You just follow the checklist. So here are the assignments, and so what I was trying to see is whether, one thing that they often do is they have like options for students, but it looks like these ones are possibly all assigned. But so here we go. The first assignment will be a 15-minute free writing exercise exploring the concept of borders. So this is really great if you've done a lot of stuff about like learning about different countries and cultures and like a larger anthropological perspective with your students, which Oak Meadow definitely does present in the lower grades leading up to this. Like human geography is one of the social studies or history courses they have, stuff like that. Then it says, look at the covers of the 4 books that you'll be reading. So if these were pieces of art that were in a gallery, arrange them in a way that's meaningful. What would you call the grouping and why? And then take a picture of the grouping to include with your response. So I really like that like mixed media approach. That's the beginning. Then read, review, and respond. In this course, you'll share your thoughts and things you wonder about as you respond to what you read and view. Consider this to be part of the brainstorming for your final project. So the first assignment we have is about maps, like political maps. Great. Then read the following article about map perspectives. And I'm assuming this you can find on their curriculum links for the course. Then read the 2 poems below, and then respond to the following prompts. Which poem did you like most? So you're already in lesson 1 incorporating poetry. I love that. And then you've got a video. So in this first lesson, the very first lesson of this, which is talking about borders, you've got map work, you've got a perspective about maps, you've got poetry and a video. So amazing interdisciplinary resources. Then you have reflection. So again, this is taking place over the course of a week. If you're like, oh my gosh, this is so much work for one assignment, this is over the course of a week. The student's going to break up all of this work. So then we have a reflection on the lesson. This is great. I took a class, what was it called? Like History of Chicanos in the United States or something like that. And every reading that we did, our professor would have us write a reflection, like a 1 to 2 page reflection on what we had read. So I'm really a big fan of this. It's kind of the same concept as notebooking, but it has some guided questions here, which is really productive. Then we've got activities. Complete the following activity to explore the subjectivity of maps. So we've got mind maps, and then share your work. So one thing talking about sharing your work that I'm planning on doing is I'm going to be setting up Google Classroom for my high schoolers so that they can submit all of their Google Docs and other projects directly to me. I have not yet set up a good system other than them emailing me stuff, and that obviously can get kind of bulky. So that's something I would suggest if you're not working with a teacher online from Oak Meadow, if you're doing this independently, would be to set up like a Google Classroom or whatever the equivalent is. I'm sure there's other ones available. All right, and then the last level that we have is American Literature Classics. So this will be the backbone of my senior's English course. She will also be taking AP US History, so I thought that it would be a great complement to be doing American literature at the same time, but I didn't want her to be limited to like the typical Western canonical classics, so that is why I will be, adjusting this to include some other titles. Also, she's already read The Great Gatsby, so I'm going to sub that out for a couple of other books, which I have shared on my blog if you're interested. I won't get into that here. But anyway, so the difference between this level is this is a year-long course. So you've got, I think, 36, let's quickly check, 36 lessons. That's the standard amount in Oak Meadow curriculum. This is a full year course, and it was updated in January of 2024, so last year. This is the 2nd edition, I think. In 2024, they updated it with new literature and assignments. I'm just reading my little notes to myself. So the books that are included in addition to Great Gatsby is Grapes of Wrath, Passing, Great American Short Stories, and the other Great American Short Stories. So I'm guessing the reason that there's 2 of these, based on the research I've been doing for other projects, is this one probably has a lot of like older classics, and this one probably has more contemporary selections as well. So if you're curious why would there be 2, that's my guess. So we're starting, and this is done in a consecutive time period way. That's the way it's organized versus a theme. So we start with 19th century short stories, and we've got a whole bunch of very well, I'm sure author of Scarlet Letter, author of Moby Dick, author of The Telltale Heart, author of Huckleberry Finn. and he wrote something, but I can't remember. So that's what we're dealing with here. Then this is still 19th century, but we're doing essays and speeches. So again, I just really want to reiterate how Oak Meadow really integrates all of the components of an excellent ELA course by including all of these components. You're not only doing literature, you're doing, in terms of a novel, you're really doing all of these different things. And you could see there's a historical aspect here, which will go nicely with if you're studying American history or not. Then 19th century poetry. Then we've got a comparative analysis essay. So here you're covering one of the 4 big essay types that they want all high schoolers to do. Then Unit 4, we've got African American and Southern short stories. I love that this is included. Very happy about that. And then Unit 5, passing, is really moving off of that short story situation. Then we're moving into the Great Gatsby. Then we're in the 20th century. So we start with 20th century poetry. Love this poet. The poem We Real Cool is by her. If you've seen my English 9 that I'm building out with that poem. Then we're moving into the Grapes of Wrath. And so this is like a timeline situation. So here we're in the 20s. I think this is also set in the 20s. Then here we're in the 40s. And again, great theme for anyone in California or Western state that is a big agricultural state. Then we're moving on to the 20th century short stories. So Ray Bradbury, James Baldwin, Louis Erdrich. She, I think, wrote the... what are those books? They're like the alternative to the Little House books. The Porcupine. I think that's what it's called. Years or something like that. Stephen King, then Short Story and Reflection. So the appendix has a bunch of reading. I bet you in the prior book we were looking at where it said go read this, I bet you that's in the appendix. Because usually the course books have all of the reading. They don't necessarily make you go on the internet. Let's just check that real quick for my knowledge. Appendix. Okay. So this one doesn't have the articles. It just has citations. So anyway, okay. It must be in the links. All right. So we are in the introduction. Here's the overview. This is, again, the student book. So keep that in mind. Sorry, I'm trying to get rid of a little bit of the shadow being cast over here. And we've got Unit 1. Unit 1, and here is the assignment checklist for Unit 1. Unit 1, Lesson 1. And here are the reading assignments. So you'll go into the Oxford Book of American Short Stories, read the biography of Nathaniel Hawthorne. And then in this book, you're going to read his short story. Then for writing assignments, you could see what it's got going on here. So here's what I was talking about earlier. Choose 3 of the following assignments to complete. And there's A through E. So you pick 3. Then you reflect on the experience. Then you've got a learning assessment rubric, which, by the way, one of the things I'm thinking about doing this year is feeding these types of rubrics to ChatGPT and having it grade papers. If I'm looking for like an objective grade so that it's not quote unquote mom grades. And then share your work. You'll share with your teacher for feedback. So again, I suggest the whole Google Classroom or whatever works for you. And then the other thing I wanted to share is I love how in Lesson 2 it assigns Bartleby, which is one of my favorite short stories. It's basically this guy comes in for a job and he doesn't do any work. He just says, I prefer not to, for the entire story. And it really makes a lasting impression. And I had looked through this before opening up this box, and I thought that they did it in a really thoughtful, this lesson moves forward in a very thoughtful way in terms of scaffolding, like what's going on in the broader context, the purpose of that short story. So anyway, this is one of the ones I've wanted my student to read for years, and I think I bought like 4 copies of it, and it just hasn't ever fit into what we're doing. So I'm really excited that that's what we're going to be doing for this year. And before I sign off, let's just open up one teacher guide so you guys can see the format of that. I used to not get teacher guides when my kids were younger, but as they've gotten older, I found them to be increasingly necessary for many reasons, especially when you've got, basically just when the kids are older, right? Like you really need these things to help you out because you are teaching like a high school level course. So save yourself the trouble, go for the teacher guide. They're having a sale right now, it's 20% off. So let that help you make the decision if you're on the fence. All right, so here we have those writing assignments. Remember, I just showed you, it said choose 3. So this is, just kidding, this is the first question. It said choose 3 of the following assignments. So here are what your assignment should look like. So if you're having your student turn your assignments into you and you're grading them, or if you're just going over their stuff at the end of the week and grading it, or however you're doing it, this is going to tell you what you're looking for and save you time if you're not doing stuff side by side, which a lot of people in high school are not, but some people do. So you may not, necessarily need all of these things, but I have found that teacher guides are very helpful in actually teaching things as well, not only serving as an answer key. So anyway, that is what the teacher guide looks like. And this is, again, American Literature Classics. And here again, you've got, this is the next lesson, more goodies. And so I just want to show you one more thing. This is in the appendix. This is about citing your sources. So my oldest took an entire class for a month about making MLA citations, but it's obviously not cost effective to pay $300 to take a class. So I really love that Oak Meadow has this included, because this is a really big skill, especially if your students are going to be doing any dual enrollment courses. The professors are going to expect them to be able to do these citations. So this is a skill that they will be needing to learn. And it's telling you how to cite a video clip, how to cite a film, citing images. Here's an example. So that's just another aspect of this that I wanted to point out. And then there's some other grammar review. And again, just to recap, the books that are included in this American Literature Classics are here, and this will be for my senior. If you're a little bit curious about what I'm going to be doing with it, I'm going to be including materials from a multicultural American literature class that I found online. So I will have anthologies like this one, but of Native American, African American, Asian American, and Hispanic, I think Hispanic American, like short stories, poems, and things. They're all this thick. I just showed them in the prior unboxing video, but I will be incorporating those into the existing framework of the American Literature Classics. And I will be adding in the Joy Luck Club and Their Eyes Were Watching God as 2 diverse substitutions for The Great Gatsby. So it's going to be a monster of a course. It's going to be honors level. I believe it's AP level, but I don't have the bandwidth to go build out a syllabus and submit to College Board, so I'm not going to mess with that. I'm still on the fence if we're going to do the AP test for it or not, AP English Literature. Those are in May. But I do feel it's definitely of that quality based on the depth and breadth of this course, and that's primarily thanks to the rigor that Oak Meadow provides. I'm really just like building a little bit off of it to change the theme a little bit because my student hasn't done as much of that in years past, and I really want senior year to finish strong with that. So anyway, that's what my thoughts are. Thank you again so much to Oak Meadow for sending me these. I'm very excited to get started. The way that we do it in our homeschool is we homeschool year round. Oh, one last thing, social transformation, it does say 9th through 12th grade. So we will be starting all of these things in July. That's when we start our new year. We usually take June off and we go to the pool and we get the novelty Frosties from Wendy's, and they have the orange creamsicle Frosty, and then Chick-fil-A has peach milkshakes only in the summer. So that's what we do for about a month, and then it's like, okay, we need the structure back. I'm done with the pool. Everybody has a sunburn. Let's get started. So watch for videos about that. I will be doing videos with my individual grade level picks, but I don't know when that's going to happen because we have to travel out of state for baseball. and to a different part of the state for baseball. And my oldest is applying to colleges, and my youngest has just gotten his molars and is walking, and we got kicked out of the library because he didn't have shoes on, even though he could barely walk. Anyway, so in the meantime, head over to my blog, and I've already shared all of my grade level picks, including links to all of these. So if you're like, where do I find it? You can either go to oakmeadow.com. I believe that's their website. Let's see if it's on here. Yeah, oakmeadow.com. Or you can go to my blog, ddchomeschool.com, and the first post right now is my 2025 to 2026 picks. Scroll down to the 3 high school levels, and you'll see all of the Oak Meadow things. So thank you guys so much for watching. Please let me know if you have any questions down below. Otherwise, thanks for watching, and make sure you're subscribed if you want to see future Oak Meadow and other homeschooling content.